What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cap Show. NFL Week 4 was really amazing. Doing a little recap. My Indianapolis Colts typically do what they do best, is blow the game and lose the game, and it's been like this for years. I just want to know when the Colts are really going to be relevant. I think they should fire their head coach. I think it starts with Pillhead Jim Irsay, the owner. He's making mistakes after mistakes, and once he really gets sobered up after the pills, I think the Colts will go in the right direction. But ever since Jim Irsay's been flirting around with the Bills, dude, it's been way off for the Colts. And look at the Colts. Like I said, if Derrick Henry rushes for over 100 yards, they will lose this game. And Derrick Henry did that. He rushed for 114 yards and a touchdown. Tannehill played great with 2 touchdowns as well. I mean, the Colts are trash, dude. We are so terrible. It's embarrassing, dude. Matt Ryan, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. My thing is with Matt Ryan, it's like he's playing scared, dude. He's like kind of like just in the pocket, like doesn't want to get hit, like he's kind of scared. It's like, really, dude? We're playing like some pussies here. It's like Indianapolis Colts, the whole organization needs to wake up. We have talent. We do. And Shaquille Leonard, he got hurt with the concussion in his return after his back injury from last year. It's really devastating. I mean, he's our main guy on defense. He's going to be out for at least a couple weeks. So moving on to this Thursday night football game in Denver, it's going to be terrible for the Colts. It's going to look terrible. I'm not even that shocked anymore with dealing with the Indianapolis Colts. It's just like this every year now. It's just like, hey, we have so many high expectations. We're going to be good this year. We're going to make the playoffs. We're going to do this. We got a great quarterback in Matt Ryan. No, dude, we're terrible. Matt Ryan looks terrible. He looks like he's ready to retire, just here for the paycheck, and that's that. Jonathan Taylor got hurt, which is terrible news for Colts. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, he's our heart and soul of this organization right now, and he got hurt. I think he will be back eventually, but this is just terrible for the Colts. It's downhill from there. I mean, the Titans won, and I think this was really a playoff game for the Colts. I think here on out, the Colts will miss the playoffs this year. We can kind of safely say that, right? Even if they win in Denver, it's just like, I mean, who are we going to be if we do make the playoffs, really? We're going to play against the Bills or the Chiefs. We're going to get whomped by either of them teams. Even the Ravens will get whomped by. So it's one of them things where it's like the reality for the Indianapolis Colts is we're going to miss the playoffs yet again, which I called that we would make the playoffs this year. I thought Matt Ryan would lead us into that and really go in a different direction, but no, dude, we've gotten worse. I think we're better off keeping Carson Wentz for an extra year than getting Matt Ryan, and we're paying the price for it, but big win by the Tennessee Titans. Then we had the Sunday night football game, the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Chiefs won this game, even though I went Bucs. I thought the Bucs would win because they had their weapons back. Mike Evans, over 100 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. Tom Brady played really well. 3 touchdowns, 385 yards. He killed it in my fantasy squad, over 30 points. And then Mahomes, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Travis Kelce, 92 yards, 1 touchdown. I think for Kansas City, this was a bigger win for them than Tampa Bay if they won. Why do I say that? Is because what the Buffalo Bills are doing right now is they're on a hot streak, right? I mean, they're going to continue to win, continue to pile up. They'll probably win their division and be a first-round bye. And that means for Kansas City Chiefs is, look, you're going to eventually have to beat the Bills. They did, in the playoffs. They got lucky, but I think that's really going to be the matchup to see in the playoffs this year is Kansas City Chiefs versus the Buffalo Bills. I can't wait for that. But Kansas City's no joke. They got a huge win. Congrats to Kansas City Chiefs. And then we got the Minnesota Vikings versus the New Orleans Saints. The Saints, man, they came in. Look, Jameis Winston out. They had Andy Dalton, dude. But like I said, I had Minnesota. They won. The spread was 3. They only won by 3, so it was a push. But Kirk Cousins, 273 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Justin Jefferson, 10 receptions on 147 yards receiving, and it was all Minnesota. They squeaked out a close one, really, but I think Minnesota, this was an easy pick. I mean, the Saints, they're going to miss the playoffs this year. Really, I mean, if they keep with Jameis Winston, dude, it's like, I mean, he threw for 30 interceptions one season, dude. It's like, man, the crab meat grease is still on his hands, dude, throwing that many picks, but, shout out to the Minnesota Vikings getting the dub. And then we got the Cleveland Browns versus Atlanta Falcons. This was probably my lock pick all weekend. Even though Atlanta Falcons were underdogs, I said Atlanta all day here. You can't really bet on the Cleveland Browns, dude, really? You're going to bet on the Cleveland Browns? They were favored by 1 going into Atlanta. That was a suck bet if you guys bet Atlanta. This was the easiest pick all weekend. I went Atlanta. They got the job done. Marcus Mariota really had a quiet game here. Only 139 yards and 1 interception. But really, the Browns, they should have won this game. Nick Chubb, 118 yards rushing and a touchdown, and Jacoby just had one pick. But I just think, for Atlanta, this was the game to win here, and they won it. This was an easy pick for me. Like I said, this was my lock pick all weekend. It's tough to bet on the Browns. It really is, dude. We're talking about the Cleveland Browns organization that haven't been relevant in so long, dude. It's kind of sad, really. But Atlanta, what a win. That was an easy pick for me. And then we got the Dallas Cowboys, baby, versus the Washington Commanders. Hey, the Dallas Cowboy fans, they should all be happy right now. They should all be celebrating. Why? Because of Cooper Rush. He feels more confident in the pocket than Dak Prescott at sometimes. I'm telling you what, and to the Cowboys fans, it might rub them the wrong way to say that and say, man, Cooper Rush, there's something about him, the composure. He's in the pocket. He's not really timid. And I'm not saying Dak does that all the time. I just say my weakness with Dak Prescott is the inconsistency. We've seen it in big games, even in not big games. But I'm not hating on Dak. Dak's obviously their quarterback. But I'm telling you what, right now, I think that I said Cole as a team right now, I just feel like they're more comfortable with Cooper Rush. I mean, Cooper Rush has that composure, has that confidence in the pocket, dude. And, I mean, dude, there's a reason they're winning right now. And it starts with Cooper Rush, man. We got to give him some homage, some credit. 223 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb on my fantasy squad snapped off. 97 yards receiving and a touchdown. I just think right now Cooper Rush looks more confident than Dak has ever looked, dude. I hate to say that because I like Dak Prescott. He's a good quarterback. But I just think Cooper Rush, man, there's something about him, dude. He's just composed. He has that swagger right now where it's like, man, dude, the Cowboys, if they continue to win with Cooper Rush, if I'm Jerry Jones, I'm saying, Dak, dude, we don't need you right now. Okay, we want you back at 100%. Your thumb's still swollen. It's not right. We don't want to rush this process back, dude. If I'm continuing to win with Cooper Rush, I'm saying, look, dude, Cooper, man, like, I know it might sound crazy, but, dude, like, if something's not broke, don't fix it, dude. If they're going to continue to win with Cooper Rush, they need to start Cooper Rush and keep with it this year. Now, a long-term, definitely Dak. I'm just saying right now, man, Cooper Rush is legit, man. Shout out to Cooper Rush. And then we got Carson Wentz, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Dotson, 1 touchdown, 43 yards receiving for Washington, but it just wasn't enough. It was all the Cowboys. Cowboys 25-10, and really the Dallas Cowboys defense is legit, dude. Parsons, he's a dog. He's their heart and soul, their defense. Then you got Diggs with the interception. Should have had 3 picks that game. But I just think Dallas right now, they're on it, dude. If they play like this all year, they will definitely make the playoffs. My whole question is dealing with the Cowboys is, can you guys win the big game in the playoffs? We saw last year against the 49ers that did not happen. You guys really folded under pressure, and I'm not going to put it all on Dak, but it was the whole team, dude. The receivers dropped balls. Just so much to go on that San Francisco game, but I just think the Cowboys right now with Cooper Rush, man, something about it, dude. They got that mojo, that swagger, and they're winning games. So if something's not broke, don't fix it. Shout out to the Dallas Cowboys getting another dub, baby. Let's go. Then we got the Seattle Seahawks versus the Detroit Lions. I had Seattle with the upset, even though the Lions were 3.5-point favorites. Seattle got it done, man. They really did. And I think for the Detroit Lions, man, it was kind of sad in a way, right? You got Goff in there. This was a high-scoring game, really, and it was just one of the things where it's like, wow, dude. For the Detroit Lions right now, it's kind of unique because, yes, they only have 1 win, but they're putting up numbers, man, and that starts with Jared Goff. We got to give him some homage. I mean, they are. They're putting up great numbers right now, but it just wasn't enough. It was all Seattle, and I think right now, moving forward for the Detroit Lions, there's some bright future for you guys. I mean, back in the day, they were never putting up these crazy numbers, even with Stafford, dude. Consistently, they were not putting up big numbers like they are right now. So I think Jared Goff and the Lions, Detroit Lions, they got something going, and they will get more dubs. I'm not really worried about that, but huge win by the Seattle Seahawks. And then we got the Chicago Bears versus the New York Giants. I had the Bears with the upset pick. I was way wrong. Justin Fields, just 174 yards passing. He was kind of quiet. I think the difference maker was the running game for the New York Giants. And that starts with Saquon Barkley, 146 yards rushing. And really, that's really was the difference maker, was Saquon. I mean, Saquon, he's a dog, top 5 running back in the league, dude. And really, I think, the Giants, they got something going for him as well. I'm just not really sold on Daniel Jones. I don't think Daniel Jones is that guy to be like, hey, dude, we're going to win a Super Bowl this year. No, dude, he's just not. I think the Giants need to eventually get a newer quarterback that's really going to take over games. I'm not really hating on Daniel Jones. He doesn't have that fight in him. I don't think, dude. It's just I don't know. I feel like for Daniel Jones, he just goes through the motions, dude. It's like I don't know. It's kind of half-assed if I were to compare it, but I just think Saquon Barkley was the difference maker. That's why the Giants won. Big win by the New York Giants. And then we had the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I said this was an upset alert game. Even though I went Philly, this was a close game. 29-21. And Jalen Hurts, 204 yards passing with one pick. Miles Sanders, 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, Trevor Lawrence balled out as well. 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 174 yards. And I'm telling you guys what, right now, I would not be surprised if Jacksonville does make the playoffs this year. I'm sticking to my word on that because I believe in Trevor Lawrence and that organization, where they're going right now. From where they were last year, from that slump, from Urban Meyer to Trevor Lawrence's piss poor year last year to now, dude. I mean, they flipped it. They did a 360, even though they lost against Philly. And give Philly credit, man. They're the only undefeated team left, and that's for a reason. That starts with the quarterback, Jalen Hurts, and that defense. That defense is swarming around the ball. They're playing fearless, and that's what Philadelphia Eagles is all about. So I think a huge win by the Philly. But for Jacksonville, man, nothing to hang your hat on. I mean, you went into Philly, had a great game there. Even though you guys came up short, Philly's undefeated for a reason. Shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles. And then we got the Jets upsetting the Pittsburgh Steelers. This one hurt. This one all weekend was that game where it's like, man, this one hurt. I picked the Pittsburgh Steelers. I thought they would win. You know, I really did. I thought Kenny Pickett was going to be the hometown hero kid to save them. No, Kenny Pickett threw for 3 picks. Really a terrible game for Kenny Pickett. I think, I'm not going to say he's a bust yet, but it was one of them games where it was like, ow, dude. Like, you grew up a Pittsburgh kid. You went to Pittsburgh University. Now you're playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Throw 3 picks. Definitely not a good look. George Pickens, 6 receptions, 102 yards receiving. But the difference was Jets and Zach Wilson. 252 yards passing, 1 touchdown and 2 picks. Breece Hall, 66 yards rushing and a touchdown. And the Jets squeak out a really lucky victory here. They were down most of the game. They came back, battled back, and won. I think for the Steelers, for Kenny Pickett, nothing to hang your hat on. You're still young in the league right now. So I think, that'll come around. But 3 picks in his opener right now. And I kind of had that feeling that Kenny Pickett would get an opportunity here. This wasn't a special opportunity. Beat the Jets at home, dude. But the trash-ass Jets won. So shout out to the Jets for getting that dub. And then we got the Buffalo Bills beating the Baltimore Ravens. I picked the Ravens. Look, Lamar threw a late pick, late game in the 4th, and that was really the difference maker. And that's how, the Buffalo Bills ultimately won. And Stephon Diggs, 4 receptions, 62 yards. Josh Allen, 213 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He also had 70 rushing yards and a touchdown. Lamar, 144 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Like I said, that late pick, late game hurt Baltimore. He also had 73 yards rushing. But for the Ravens right now, this was a learning game for you guys. It's definitely for Lamar. You're going to actually face them probably in the playoffs this year. And I believe that Lamar definitely will make the playoffs this year. And they're going to have to play the Bills at some point. And this was the game where it was like, hey, well, let's look at this game. What did we go wrong? Where did we go wrong? And what can we correct in the future? That's what the Baltimore Ravens need to do. Same thing with Lamar. And I think Lamar, he owns up to that. Hey, it's my mistake. I'm going to learn from it and grow from it and make our team become better. And I believe that. So, big win by the Bills. They're expected to win. They got the dub. Big win by the Buffalo Bills. And then we got the Chargers versus the Houston Texans. This was the second easiest pick all weekend. I picked the Chargers at 5.5. They covered. Justin Herbert, 340 yards passing with 2 touchdowns. Austin Eckler, 2 touchdowns as well. Mike Williams, 7 receptions, over 100 yards receiving. And the Chargers, it was all Chargers here. And this was an easy pick. I think Texans are probably the worst team in the league. They really are. Davis Mills, 246 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. But it was all Chargers here. And this, like I said, this was probably the easiest pick. It really was, dude. We're talking about the Houston Texans here, okay? They tied Indianapolis. It's just sad, dude. But shout out to the LA Chargers getting the dub. And then we got the Arizona Cardinals beating the Carolina Panthers. I had Arizona here, even though the Panthers were 1-point favorite, which really surprised me. I don't know how they were favored by 1 point coming into this game. I can't believe it, dude. Baker Mayfield, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Baker Mayfield is looking terrible, dude. Baker Mayfield, dude, he's eventually going to be a backup quarterback. quarterback. He just has to, dude. Like, he does not have the long ball. He's not really accurate with his throws, and he's kind of unorthodox. And really, the offensive rhythm is just out of shape right now. And it starts with Baker, dude. And it's just like some of the passes he throws, I'm like, dude, how is Baker a quarterback in the NFL, dude? Like, some of these throws are just terrible. It's hard to watch. It's like watching Mark Sanchez butt fumble. It's just like, oh my gosh, dude, it's hard to watch sometimes. You know, McCaffrey, 27 yards rushing, 81 yards receiving, and 1 touchdown. I kind of feel bad for McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey eventually is going to realize, hey, look, Carolina Panthers, we're probably never going to win a Super Bowl right now during my time. So I feel like he's going to want to test free agency eventually in the future and be like, I want to go to somewhere where I can actually play in the playoffs and win a championship. I think that's what McCaffrey needs to do in the future. But for Arizona, Kyler Murray, this was a huge win. 207 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Marquise Brown on my fantasy squad, 88 yards receiving and a touchdown. It was all Arizona here, and I think Arizona, this was a huge win. The way they started some of the games, yes, they got lucky against the Las Vegas Raiders with that return back in overtime. And then you get this win. I think Arizona, they can squeak into the playoffs. And then J.J. Watt had that heart procedure, but yeah, he still played. You know, prayers up to J.J., but big win by the Arizona Cardinals over the Panthers. And then we got the New England Patriots versus the Green Bay Packers. Had Green Bay here all day. I even said the 9.5 was too much. The spread was way too much to go money line Green Bay, and it hit. Crosby hit the game-winning field goal in overtime. Aaron Rodgers, 251 yards passing with 2 touchdowns and 1 pick. Aaron Jones, 16 carries, 110 yards rushing. And then Alan Lazard, 6 receptions, 116 yards receiving. And really, this was a close game, and I thought Green Bay would really push away from it. I just think for Green Bay, when they make the playoffs yet again this year, can they get over the hump? Can Aaron Rodgers win that big game? You know, we saw against the San Francisco 49ers, the difference was the reality was Aaron Rodgers did not play well. He did not, and the special teams did not help in that game. And I just think overall, Green Bay, they kind of look the same as they did last year. A good regular season team, but come playoff time, it's really when they get tested, and it's just like, I don't know. I'm not sold on Green Bay yet. Am I sold on Aaron Rodgers? Yes, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks this league has ever seen, but at the same time, it's like, can you guys win a big game? Can you guys get over that hump in the playoffs? I don't know, but this was a big game, and this was a start. So, you know, Green Bay won. You know, and Bailey Zappi, the guy who I'm really high on, 99 yards passing and a touchdown, really threw a bad pass, which really should have been intercepted. He's a rookie. He had his opportunities, came up a little short, but I think we'll see a little bit more Bailey Zappi. Damian Harris, 86 yards rushing and a touchdown for the Pats. But Green Bay, they squeaked out a close victory in overtime. Shout out to the Green Bay Packers. And then we got the Denver Broncos versus the Las Vegas Raiders. This was a must-win game for the Las Vegas Raiders. All the pressure was on the Raiders here, and they got the job done. Derek Carr, 188 yards passing. Devontae Adams, 9 receptions, over 100 yards receiving. Josh Jacobs, 28 carries, 144 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The Raiders' run game was the difference, and that's why they won this game. And they won it soundly. Russell Wilson, 237 yards passing with 2 touchdowns. He had 29 rushing yards and a touchdown. I just think Denver overall, everything's on Russell, dude. It's like, I don't think he really has that help yet. Yes, he has Judy there, but other players, it's just like they need help, dude. And Denver right now does not look right. They just don't. The whole chemistry as a team is kind of out of sync right now, you know. But the Raiders, this was a huge win for you guys. Yet the Raiders could still make the playoffs this year, even though they started out 0-3. If they get on a roll here, I'm telling you, the Raiders have the talent to do that. They have the talent to come back and battle back. They do. So I'm not really 100% worried about the Raiders. If they did lose this game, we could safely say they're probably out. But this was a must-win game for the Raiders. And really, the next month is probably a must-win game for the Raiders. So huge win by the Las Vegas Raiders. And then we had the Monday Night Football game, the LA Rams versus the San Francisco 49ers. I was a suck bet on this one. I went Rams. I thought for sure they'd have this game closer, but, you know, it's the same thing. Same story that really San Francisco 49ers has the Rams number. And I even said in the playoff game before the Rams went to the Super Bowl, the San Francisco 49ers were up by 3, 14-17. Matt Stafford throws a deep Hail Mary pass, and the dude drops it. San Francisco player drops it, and really that was a momentum shift right there. If he drops it there, he runs it back for another 30, 40 yards. and we're talking a different story here. The Rams don't win the Super Bowl last year if this play develops the way San Francisco wanted it to develop, dude, because it did not go that way at all, dude. It went the opposite way, and I kind of feel bad for them in a way, but at the end of the day, it was all San Francisco 49ers, and why? Because of Deebo Samuel. On my fantasy squad, shout out to Deebo one time, man. Got the job done, man. And let me tell you, Jimmy G had a nice game as well. 239 yards passing and a touchdown. Deebo a touchdown. And really, Matt Stafford just 254 yards passing and a pick. And Cooper Kupp 122 yards receiving. I just think, like I said, Matt Stafford, man, he's a good quarterback, but he had so many great players around him. I think that's kind of why they won the Super Bowl this past year. It's just like, man, or this year technically, it's just like, I don't know, man. I think the Rams are out of sync right now, and really the San Francisco 49ers, if these two match up in the playoffs, I got to go 49ers, right? I mean, they play again. They play twice a year, but the Rams did get the victory in the playoffs this recent year, and when it mattered most. But it was off San Francisco's mistakes. You gotta come up with the big plays when you're presented to them. If you want to win a Super Bowl, you gotta come up with the picks. You gotta come up with the fumbles. You gotta come up with the big hits, the big plays. That's what you gotta do. And San Francisco just had one big play away from a Super Bowl run right here. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. So I think the Rams and 49ers will see this team, but huge win by the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, what a time, man. What a time. But, the Raiders, like I said, was in a must-win game. That was a huge game as well. But the heartbreaking game to me was definitely the Ravens losing as well. Obviously the Bucks losing. And then my Indianapolis Colts. It's just like the reality is for the Colts is we're going to miss the playoffs again, dude. We're not that team right now. We need a quarterback. The Colts need to fire their coach, Frank, and just go a different way. They do, and they need to start with a younger quarterback, draft a young quarterback, and really start over. That's what the Colts need to do. But what a weekend for Week 4. NFL's crazy. I cannot wait. It's the Cloud with Cam show. Let's go!